Hello and welcome. I'm Vincent McCory and this is Africa 54. Tonight, a major terminal at East Africa's busiest airport is in ruins after being engulfed by a massive fire. The blaze at Nairobi's Kenyatta International Airport has been contained, but officials said that part of the airport will remain closed indefinitely. The blaze erupted early Wednesday in the international arrivals area, shedding large plumes of black smoke billowing into the sky. Firefighters battled intense heat for 4 hours to contain the fire, which caused extensive damage. Business, travelers and tourists are being diverted to airports in Mombasa, Eldoret and Kisumu, as well as neighboring countries including Uganda, Tanzania and Rwanda. So far, no reports of death or serious injuries. Now, for more details, we are joined from Nairobi by our correspondent, Gabe Josler. Good evening, Gabe.
Good evening, Vincent.
Now, first, any updates as to what really caused this fire?
Now, we're still waiting for that information. That's the question everybody's been asking all day. We don't know at this point, but the government is planning to hold another press conference tomorrow, midday, so we should learn something then.
They said that part of some activity will resume by today afternoon. Are you aware whether there's any arrivals or departures from that airport?
Yeah, there should be some. Well, we know that Kenya Airways says that some of the flights that were scheduled for this evening, the domestic flights, will continue as normal. And those should be beginning any moment now. Yeah, it looks like they are in some capacity going to start to get that airport up and running again. Also, it's a major place for cargo transfers, so that's also going to be up and running, according to government officials.
Still, we know this is a major hub in the East African region. What kind of impact is it likely to have for business, for travelers?
Well, that's right. Yeah, that's right. I mean, there's no doubt that this is going to have a major impact on flights for people all over the region. There's tens of thousands of passengers that go through Jomo Kenyatta Airport on their way to other destinations in East Africa. It's a major regional hub. There's 5 million passengers coming through there a year. So with this major terminal, it totally ruined, totally gutted and blackened, according to the images that we've seen. There's just not the capacity right now at the other sections of the airport to really handle the massive loads that facility is used to.
Now, very briefly, for those who have to be taken to Rwanda, Uganda, how are they coming back to their destinations?
Well, we know that once they start getting some of these smaller flights operating, we imagine that they're going to be able to come through. If they need to come through Nairobi, then they'll be able to use the sort of limited capacity at the airport. For one thing, they're going to open up a third terminal that's usually just used for domestic flights to be used for international flights as well. It's likely to be a slow and messy process, but at least it's something. And for some of the customers landing in places like Mombasa, there were some buses mobilized to help move them from that city to Nairobi.
Just to make it clear, were the firefighters unable to put this fire out, or it was just that big?
Well, it's a little bit of both. It was a big fire, but Kenya's firefighting capacity is extremely limited. We reported on this last month, but there's really only one working fire engine for the city of Nairobi. Now, the airport has its own crew. The military also has a crew, and there's private companies that all lent a hand. But the fact of the matter is the city just really wasn't prepared for a disaster of this size.
And it's ironic, you actually filed on this not long ago. Let's turn our attention now to the anniversary of the bombings of the U.S. embassies in Nairobi and Dar es Salaam. It's 15 years down the line. What were some of the highlights today?
Well, there was a major memorial service at the site of the former U.S. embassy. As you said, 15 years on, there's still victims of that blast that wounded thousands of people and killed more than 200 in Kenya. And there are still victims who are waiting for compensation from the government and still want to make their voices heard so that such a terrible event is not easily forgotten by the Kenyan public. And certainly it is on people's minds. The fire today at the airport kind of overshadowed events there, but it was a major milestone in Kenyan history.
In terms of compensation, really, who has held this back? Is it the Kenyan government, or did they have some times back also asked for the U.S. to kind of chip in into this?
It's a little bit of both. Some people say they have been former employees of the U.S. Embassy. A lot of them did receive some compensation from the State Department. Other people who were just at the scene of the blast, mostly it's their claims that people were waiting for more compensation from the government for not providing enough security or whatever it is. Sometimes it's hard to prove who really is a legitimate victim or not. So the government, it's a tough task for the government. It's certainly painful for those who really survived this blast. So it's a difficult situation.
In a few seconds, do people feel safer anyway on a day like this in Nairobi?
I think there are always concerns about the threat of terrorism here in Nairobi, especially with being so close to Somalia and the threat of al-Shabaab. So as much as they try to make efforts to confront that threat, it's always there lingering.
Well, Geb, excellent insight there. Thanks a lot. Geb Jostolo reporting live via Skype from Nairobi.